morning, and thank you for joining us this morning on Money Truth Moments with our very own Money Truth expert and Money Whisperer, Judy Copenbarger. How are you?
I am great. I am great. Well, happy 4th of July. We were I guess it was a replay last week. We weren't live because I was traveling, and what an amazing 4th of July we've had. I love our country. I love it when everybody's got their flags out, red, white, and blue. I feel like that every day. But you see the whole country coming together over how amazing we are. Who gets to live here? We do. I love it. So I am excited. It's been a great week and a great week to come. How was your 4th, Carlos?
The same thing, like you said. I love our how much we pride ourselves in our country.
Yeah.
Love seeing all the flags. Love seeing the little kids with the wagons, flags everywhere. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you really quick before we get into our show because I understand that congratulations are in order, right? Do you want to
Yes,
share about that?
our little family tree grew a branch this week.
All right.
Yay. Yeah. So we
Congratulations.
had our first grandbaby, a little girl. Her name is Penelope Rose, and mom and dad call
Oh,
her Penny, and she's just the cutest little thing. She's perfect. Some babies are born kind of banged up. That first week, it's like, oh, that's a pretty baby. She's already a Gerber baby. So cute. Yeah, she's great.
that's
So,
awesome.
and
Well,
she's
congratulations to you all, you know?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, she's a really, really sweet little one. So we're
Yeah,
excited.
I can't wait till we hear stories about her growing as she continues to grow up and all that too. So
Yeah,
a lot of
her
good
parents are
stuff
in it
coming
now.
for sure. So we ended up talking about the beginning of summer back in June about summer savings, sun, fun, and finances. And we kind of went over to some practical things for us to do as we kicked off our summer. So I thought we'd pick up today continuing to talk about family finances, but planning that perfect vacation, right? What are some steps to create that? The budget, what are maybe talk about some big goals, and also touch on affordable destinations when you're on that kind of budget.
Oh, absolutely. Well, just from our experience, when our kids were little, we were putting ourselves through grad school, and then we did it again, more grad school. And we have 5 children, and they're pretty close. We had litters. We had 2 a year apart, and then we had 3 a year apart. Twins in there. So we had to really do everything on a shoestring for a long time when they were little. So it was thrift stores and all of that. And so for fun, we wanted to make sure that they had the experience of camps, they had the experience of vacation, all of us going together to explore. But there are so many things that you can do that don't have to be costly. When you have little kids, you think vacation, you think, oh, Disney cruise, right? Well, that comes with the price ticket. Or you think of the nice hotels and Hawaii on the beach and all that. Well, you can do Hawaii on the beach, but it doesn't have to be at that 5-star resort rate. Those are nice when you can do that, and we do love those things. But when we really didn't have it in our budget, in our spending plan, we did other things. And the kids still talk about one of their favorite Hawaii trips, and it was well, this was before Airbnb and VRBO, but we got a timeshare last minute deal. So I think it was like $75. It was like the cleaning fee for the week. And we
Wow.
had a penthouse in Waikiki, a block from the beach. So it was right in the middle of Chinatown, which was a whole other experience, like another country without having to fly really far. And we got to do that whole thing for hardly any money. We had a 3-bedroom penthouse suite. It was an old dated building, but it was great. Big kitchen. In fact, I think there was a second kitchen, in the back. And so we got to cook our own food, which was a big deal, with the family. Well, at that point, we had 8 of us. My mother was with us, and we had the 2 of us and 5 kids. And so the beach is free. You walk right down there. I mean, it was just the best trip. So there are things you can do. It doesn't always have to be the big ticket thing. There's camping, there's glamping. And if you want to do some of those special things, amusement parks, libraries, how about national parks and regional parks? You can get
Good
a
point.
pass for a whole year, and you can go to all of them. Another trip our kids talk about fondly is we were learning about rocks and the way the earth was formed and all of that stuff. And so we did the Route 66 tour. Of course, we're camping along the way, maybe a motel once in a while for a shower, right? But we went across the 40, which used to be the 66, and you can get on the 66 a lot of places and go on the old 2-lane highway. But along there's a lot of history and a lot of really cool stuff. But there are so many national parks that are full of meteors and volcanic lava activity and all kinds of amazing things. And we learned so much about how the earth is formed and reformed on that trip. And I just remember it was kind of a sciencey trip, but it was so much fun. So, and that was hardly any money. I think at that point, it was a couple $100 for the whole year for all of us to drive into these parks, one after the other after the other. So almost every day we do a brand new park. I remember the Painted Desert was one of them. The something about the forest where all the trees fell down and they're all petrified. Is it Petrified Forest?
Yeah.
Petrified Forest. I don't remember the name of the park, but wow, and that was amazing. Hiking, biking, um, camping. We did a lot of picnics here, there, and everywhere, and just learned about the world. Didn't have to cost a lot. So a lot of things you can do like that. And I think I've spoken before about the twilight discounts. So most libraries, even amusement parks, have twilight discounts. Golfers know this, right? If you go so late in the day, 1 or 2 in the afternoon, it's half price. A lot of places do that. And if you've got littles, there are a lot of places that have, for people that really don't have the budget for these things, they have 1 day a month that it's either free or deeply discounted, or bring all your kids free, pay for one and get all the rest in. So you got to go online or call the customer service at these places to find out, when should I come? What's the best deal financially? But there's always deals out there. You just got to find a way and get it done.
So talking about that, let's talk about also in some of your personal experience with clients, right? Because I'm
Mhm.
sure you come across clients that are sometimes, that fine line of where every penny is accounted for and all that until they talk to you, and then you show them some of these, you talked about buckets, the different options for folks to make some of their dreams happen. So can you think of a client that was in that mindset, like I could never afford to take a vacation, and and you kind of open their eyes to that aha moment, right?
Yeah. It's something I kind of attract multiples, I think. I don't, maybe it's where we live or maybe because we have an experience with multiple, children, but so twins and triplets and quads, right? So they kind of find me, but I've got several families with triplets, many families with triplets. And they're,
Wow.
they're all independent, not referred by each other. It's like that's kind of interesting. A lot of triplets. But it's all the price tags come at one time with triplets. They all need
Right.
an outfit. They all need, school shoes. They all need vacation. And so for these families, I got one in mind that the kids were probably about at 12 at the time. It's like, what are we going to do? Right. And these folks make really good money. They're in the real estate business and do really well. And they're trying to figure out, how can we afford, because we live at a high level, we make a lot, but we spend a lot. And the kids want private schools and they want to go to summer camp and buy soccer balls and all that stuff. How do we do that? And so I remember working with this family. It's like, okay, we want to have this great lifestyle now. They each want a new bike, and then you got to get the helmet and you got to get the water ball holder, all the other stuff that goes with it, accessories. So we want to do those things for now, but we also want to make sure that we're planning for their future for with college funds. Oh, and then there's our future, retirement funds. So how do we allocate the money? So when the money comes in, and this is, real estate, they get pops. They get, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 at one time. And then there's maybe nothing for a little while, weeks, and then another one. And so we worked on kind of evening out their spending plan. And when the money did come in, allocating it so there's enough for maybe next month in case an escrow doesn't close next month. And so that covers the monthly expenses, but we also need some for the goals coming up with the kids and college coming up. And at that point, it was just a few years away for all of them, and for retirement. So every time money came in, we put a certain percentage here, a certain percentage for the goals in the future, and a certain percentage for the future, the long term future. And then they were able to do that. So now their children, this family, they're probably 23. I remember when they turned 21, they had a big party, big weekend party. So they're probably 23 or so. And they're doing well, but they were able to get through those periods of time and still have something for the future. They're still playing catch up a little bit because 3 at one time is a shock on the pocketbook. But they've been able to do that, and they've taken the advice, and they're going to be just fine.
That's a great story. and you know that I always like to ask about your clients because you always have these amazing, remarkable stories. And at some point, I think you ought to just write just an entire book just on your experience with your clients because I think it'd be phenomenal to share with that. But I'm also going to ask you about you, right? So, in your childhood, what do you remember as some at a summer that really stood out? That it wasn't like this, you were all over the world or whatever, but something that was, it was very meaningful to you to this day. You still remember.
Yeah, well, we weren't all over the world. I didn't know anybody that traveled all over the world, other than once in a while at church, we'd have a missionary come from really far away, somewhere in Asia or somewhere in Africa, and they'd come, tell about these, crazy stuff we'd read about in books. Then I'd look up in the encyclopedia. Remember the encyclopedia set
Yeah.
in the den? I look up there and go, wow, that's like really true. So all of that, but I didn't really know that. I didn't have a passport until after 30. Now I've done 48 countries, but I didn't
Wow.
have a passport until later in life. And I had no reason for one. I mean, we weren't going to, buy airplane tickets and go anywhere. And so for us growing up, it was camping. And now I prefer not to, I like I like a restroom right there and a nice bed and luxury pillows. And I do like that now. Sleeping on the ground. I think I'm past that just physically. And being a little too cold or bug bitten, maybe, I'll get bit by the bugs and then go back to my hotel room. But growing up, we didn't have the spending plan for that. There were four of us. My dad had his little business. My mom was a private school teacher. So it was kind of, every month, I think they just kind of made it. We didn't know we didn't have a lot, but we were lower middle for sure. But we didn't do the Disney vacations. We didn't even know what that was other than Sunday night, the Disney show. It looked amazing, right? So we didn't do that, but we didn't miss out on anything. We went camping, we did weekend things, we'd go out to the river. Remember, your natural resources are gonna be the best, not only education, but fun. Let the kids, do crafts, take some paint and, paint the little I remember one time we camped at the beach and we painted what are the shells and then the critter goes into the shell and he grows into a bigger one?
You're talking about the
Hermit crabs. Hermit
yes.
crabs. Yes. So we painted hermit crab shells and had hermit crab races. And that was like the highlight of that whole weekend. But, just take some paint or do crafts with sticks and pine cones and see what you can find on a hike. Finding an old riverbed that's got crawdads in it. It's okay to get a little muddy or a little dirty. The immunity will build, the kids need that probably more than we live in the sterile environment right here in the city. But let them get dirty and learn about the world and how plants grow and how animals cycle, all of that. There's so many things that you can do that are fun on vacation, but you've got family events, almost every holiday. And then there's community anniversaries. We just had 4th of July celebrations everywhere. Most cities did a little something. There's public picnics. There's through the summer, there's concerts in the park. Expose your kids to music that way. And you always meet really cool people that are out doing these things too, with the kids in the wagons, with the strollers and all that. So take advantage of your community. Find out. Most cities have a booklet of all the classes in the summer. Everything from karate class to swimming lessons to crafts, yoga, whatever it is. There's always a lot of fun stuff for the kids. Science camps, it's so many things. So find the stuff that doesn't cost a lot. Those city classes are going to be very inexpensive, if any cost at all, and enjoy those things.
You talking about Disneyland? Do you remember Sunday nights were the movie nights for Disney? Right, I remember this as a kid, and you
Mhm.
had only for us. It was like you could always maybe get halfway through the movie because it was bedtime, and like, man, right? So as a kid, you didn't you only every movie that you watched was like half of it, and then
Oh, I don't remember that. I was probably, blocking it out. I don't remember that.
my
But I do
parents were
remember
very
Sunday
strict.
night.
Yeah,
Tinkerbell comes out and it's gonna be a good night. Yeah.
and then I also remember, and I don't know if you remember this, but when Disneyland used to have the tickets, right, for the rides.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
have your little booklet and all that stuff too. And it's when you think back at some of this stuff, it's like, man, it's crazy how much things have changed and things that we're doing with our kids. And I think talking about inexpensive stuff too. I mean, I think for me, for an example, is is watching your kids in sports is almost like it's very enjoyable, and it doesn't cost much to just do these tournaments and just watch them, which is great. You learn to appreciate a lot of the little and the simple things in life, right?
Absolutely. And it doesn't always have to break the bank. And it's not like I'm poo-pooing the nice things.
Right.
The amusement parks and all those things. We all love to do those things too. And flight, to go visit grandma in New Jersey, whatever it is that costs money. I'm not saying don't do that, but if you're going to do it, plan for it financially, not only on your calendar, but financially. So when you come back, you don't have that, oh, credit card bill just came. What have we done? We overdid it again. We overspent again. You don't want to have that cycle. And so many families I work with, it seems like they have that cycle where they're kind of spinning. It's, we've been here before. Honey, you don't make enough. Honey, you spend too much, right? And then you get that adversarial relationship around money in a marriage, in a family. You don't want that. You want marital harmony. You want family harmony around money. And that can come by eliminating the stress around having that debt or having the overspending, and feeling guilty about doing these nice things. So do the nice things, bring the family in, go to family, do all these things this summer, but plan for it. And you can plan this year for next summer. If you're still catching up this year, do what you can. Get the debt paid off when you get home, and then plan next year. So what if you put 100 or 200 or more every month away all year for the next 6, 8 months until you're planning for next summer? How much less stress you'll have going in with a pocket of cash to prepay some of those ticket items that are going to make a really great vacation. You can do this.
No, absolutely. And speaking of doing this, we're at the tail end of our show. So you know what that means, folks. It is our Money Truth Challenge, and I can't wait to hear what you have for us for summertime.
Here's your challenge. Make a list of 10 things with pen and paper, right? 10 things, 10 perfect vacations or staycations or trips that you have on your short list to do by the end of the year. If you haven't had your summer vacation yet, or if you do something around the holidays, 10 things that you'd really like to do. And then prioritize them, the most important to the least important, and then put next to them the cost, the actual out of pocket cost of each of those. And then plan, right? Maybe one of those things has a really big ticket item next to it. And if it's one of those amusement park kind of trips, put a bigger number than you think, really, right? There's a multiplier from that kind of travel with the souvenirs and food and all that stuff. But put the cost next to the trips that you'd really like to take, or the family would really like to take. You might need to get a vote, from the other folks in your household. And then prioritize those and then plan, is this something we'll do this year by the end of the year, or maybe should it wait for next year? And if it's next year, what do we need to plan for every month to make sure that that's a cash trip and no credit card debt ends up being on the bill when we get home? That's your challenge. You can plan ahead. You got this.
All right, folks, 10 items. Remember that. So I can't wait to hear all about it. Make sure you share it with us. If you guys get stuck, reach out. I'm sure Judy can give you a little push in the right direction, and we can really focus in and share some of these great opportunities that you're thinking about planning. And maybe Judy can help you plan a little bit more with that too. With that said, remember, we are here every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. with the replay on Thursdays at 8 p.m. And if you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.today for all relevant content, including her social media as well too. Any last parting words, Judy?
Make it a great week. And if you love somebody, let them know today. God bless.
Take care.
Bye-bye.